Good morning, YouTube friends. May the good Lord bless you. I hope you're having yourself a wonderful week. In this video, I'm going to discuss how to snare canines. Now, we know that snaring has been used since the beginning of time. You can see in the Bible, you can see that a snare is mentioned in the Bible in various places. And it is used in the Bible because the writer, the prophet, is talking about what the Lord is relating to man about the devil trying to snare his soul with whatever lust that he had to snare his soul with. So the snare has been used since the beginning of time. So I've used snares. You guys, I started studying them when I was about 10 years old. Went to school, and there was this kid who had a little trap line, and me and him would go out on the backside of the old schoolhouse over there in Athens. That's when you could actually get outdoors and run around and not worry about drugs and stuff like that, and people killing you. And he showed me one particular type of trap that he used as a snare. And of course I was reading all the Daniel Boone, Davy Crockett books and all that kind of stuff, so I learned how to snare. I've been studying snares and deadfalls, you guys, since that particular time. So I've taken all kind of different animals in snares: coons, rabbits, foxes, bobcats, those canines. So I'm not really snaring this morning. I'm just in a particular part of the mountain. You can see behind me probably there's frost all over the trees. There's a snowstorm coming tomorrow morning. What you see falling right now is just the frost off of the trees. But in this particular part of the mountain here, you can't go 25 yards without finding another pile of deer dung. Well, what's the significance of that? That means that there's going to be canines in here, cats and dogs. And what I'm looking for here, I'm going to show you guys, is how to set these particular snares up. This one here is for a fox and down, okay? You would want a bigger snare and a more stouter snare if you was going to try to catch a coyote. And of course you can catch a coyote in this, but before you get there, he will probably have it wrecked and chewed to pieces and gone. But this particular one, you guys, is a Raymond Thompson self-locking snare. You can buy a dozen of them for about $25. And this is what they put in pilots. These Air Force pilots survival kits are Raymond locking snares, or Thompson snares, okay? Raymond Thompson snares. So they got a self-lock on them. You can see how it's designed. Right here is the lock, and I've showed this before, but I'm going to show it again today. When it goes in there, it closes up, and the more the animal pulls on it, the tighter it gets around his neck, and usually we'll strangle them to death, okay? And that's really what you want to happen. You don't want to have to come up and beat the animal to death in a survival situation, which is the reason I'm showing that this morning. Not so much for people who already know how to snare, but for you people who are having, going to make you a survival kit, a snare, you can get a dozen of them and put them in your kit. They don't weigh anything, and you can catch multiple types of game with them. I like them a whole lot better than a deadfall, because generally a deadfall is a rock or a log that's leaning up that really has to be baited most of the time before you can get an animal to commit to going underneath a stone or a log or something like that that's standing up, and it might look like suicide. So I was looking for a choke point this morning. A choke point is a place on the trail where the deer are going, where the game animal that you're trying to snare will be funneled into that choke point, and will generally, if he's using that trail, no matter if you've got a snare sitting in it or not, he will usually go ahead and stick his head through the loop and go on and try to go on up the trail. Cats in particular will do that. So let me get you down here where this choke point is, and I'm just going to show you this particular setup that I use for foxes. I will explain rabbits and things like that as we go along. All right, you all, you can see this is a deer's trail right here. Deer have been stepping right over this right here. So the canine is coming up through here, right here, okay? Right here's the choke point. And this is a good place to put doubles. Put a snare over here and a snare right here. So what we'll do to show you this, you all, is I will just remove some of these twigs right here. And you don't want to change it hardly at all. You don't want to go breaking off stuff and stobbing stuff up in the ground that don't look like it was the last time a coyote came through there, okay? So let me set the camera down so that you can see what I'm doing. All right, you all, for a fox, we want a loop that is just about 8 inches in diameter and just about that distance off of the ground, okay? And it will just simply stick out there just like that. And the only thing you would have to do is take and put you some guide sticks to sort of hold it in place. Just put you some guide sticks up there to hold that thing in place, okay? And that's just exactly what it looks like on the trail. Now, let me get the thing set there so that you understand what I'm saying. So you can see the deer dung right here, you guys, right in front of us here. So we're looking right straight up the trail. Can you see the snare? The snare's about 3 foot from here. That's basically the whole point of snaring. A snare is something that the animal does not see, probably will not smell, and he will stick his neck through the loop, and then he is caught, okay? So let me show you one of the tricks here that we're going to use. Now you all, I don't care whether it's a rabbit or a fox, either one. You're going to want to put a sharp stop right in front of where that loop is. Now this is up high enough for a fox right here, you guys. Let me raise that up just a hair. See these sticks? You want them down there because here comes that animal across the ground. He's got his nose to the ground, right? Well, when he comes to this stop, he's not going to stick his nose on this sharp stop, okay? Rabbit won't do it, a fox won't do it, a coyote will not do it. What they will do is this will cause him to raise his head up and stick it through your loop. That's the reason that you do that. Now, I've trying to make this as natural as possible for this funnel to look as natural as possible, okay? So just take you some type of twigs, nothing very much at all, so they don't look really unnatural. And here he comes, especially a cat. A cat will stick his head right through that loop and he will be caught. Now you see how hard it is for you to see that trap without looking at the locking mechanism? It looks like it's part of the trail. And that's set up for the height of a fox, okay? That's exactly what it looks like. Of course, over here, you would have the thing tied off to the tree, okay? Wired off to a tree, wired to a clog, something to hold the fox in place. Now you all, for a rabbit, right there's about the size that you want for a rabbit's head, okay? The reason you want it this size is you don't want that rabbit jumping through and getting caught by the hips, because he'll sit there and squall and holler, and something will come and get him. So take that thing about the size of your hand. That's the size that you want for a rabbit. It doesn't need to be more, you guys, than 3 inches off of the ground. This way. So you could really do this. You could use this size for the rabbit's head to go through, and that far off of the ground in the path of the rabbit. Rabbits will just continue right on down the path. Cats will do the same thing. Cats, same size as the fox, 8 inches up off of the ground. Coyote, 12 inches off the ground. The loop can be 10 inches, okay, for that particular large animal to go through. Beaver in the water, the same way. You just set that in the beaver's place where he's going in and out of the water to get his food. He gets himself snared up, and of course you've got a drowner on there to drown that particular animal right there. But these things, like I said, have been used since the beginning of time. Now you'll see lots of survival books that have deadfalls in them, and I do use deadfalls, but deadfalls do not catch game like your snare said. I think I said that in the beginning. Deadfalls usually have to be baited, and then it has to really not look like the animal's going to commit suicide when it goes in there. And that's really one of the reasons that I don't like so much to use deadfalls. In a survival situation, if you've got bait to put on a deadfall, you can eat that bait, okay? So that's just one of the reasons that you wouldn't want to try to rely on a deadfall to get you. You've seen these people on television, they're using them to catch mice and stuff like that. That's all well and good. They'll work for that sometimes. Most of the time though, these snares that the animal does not know is there do not have to be baited, and they work. When the animal's neck goes through there, the head goes through there, he's caught. There ain't no question about it. Squirrel snaring, guys, is one of the hardest ones to learn how to set. A squirrel's head is no more bigger rounder than that right there. Well, if you take this loop right there is about the size you want for a squirrel's head. If that squirrel can jump completely through that, I've seen squirrels, literally. I've watched them, studied them, and had the snares already set at different sizes. Squirrel comes hopping up the tree, up the log, whatever, he'll jump straight through that hole, completely through it, not even touch your snare. So it has to be down the size of that head so that he gets caught, and then he's caught around the neck. But they're very tenacious and really not easy to snare. Okay, so with that, you all, may the good Lord bless you. I hope you learned something from watching my videos. If I get a chance, I will do a trap line here in the future. I don't really trap a lot that anymore because, you know, steel traps, you know, when they come into existence, people just don't use snares a lot. They use leg hold traps, and that's really how they trap. But you can imagine packing up a survival bag and all that kind of stuff that you're going to use, and you got a dozen steel traps in it. Well, that's going to weigh like 50 pounds. So it's really not something that you'd want to be carrying around with you. You might want to put, if I did anything, I might put a couple of Connie bears in there and try to get an animal to stick his head through a Connie bear trap. And they usually, unless they're, you know, on a dedicated trail where an animal will stick his head through and try to go through, they won't go through there unless there's bait on it. So Connie bears, most of the time, have to be baited. I've caught many rabbits over the years, but not in a path. I've caught them with carrots and apple chunks sticking on the triggers of the Connie bear trap. So I've caught canines the same way. They will not just jump through a Connie bear trap, but your snare, it's just hanging there like a you know, a piece of weed in the woods, and the animal will go walking right on through just like it's some kind of vine or something like that. But anyway, you all, may the good Lord bless you. I hope you have yourself a wonderful week. If it snows, I'll get out and try to do some video in the snow and do some survival things there in the snow. With that, you all, have yourself a wonderful week.